Okay, so I'm going to freehand a little wrap here, just kind of for my own records, because my loads from earlier today. I just finished up shooting a series, and it got dark. It's pitch black out there, which happened last night too. These targets were shot yesterday and today, and I put some notes on here. And I just figured I would take a picture, mainly for my own records for down the road, because I've got several different guns on here. I'm going to tear these. I used to keep targets, and I just ran out of room, so I don't keep anything anymore. I document it. Sometimes I write notes. But what I wanted to do was just share with you some of my thinking. I touched when I did my earlier exposition on all of these groups. And I'm just going to tell you the difference between, if you can't recognize the difference between this type of a group. Now this was shot late in the evening, but not under the lights, on another cold evening. Yesterday was also a cold evening. This is where I started. I had, late afternoon, mid-afternoon conditions out there. People will tell you that it's not even worth shooting without flags, but frankly, number one, unless you've got a gun that's capable of shooting little dots, flags are useless. I spent many years chasing this kind of crap. And let me just tell you that when there's groups like this and they're random and they're shaped like stank, it doesn't matter that they're all kind of in a line. These are unfixable. Learn that this is broken. This gun, this bedding started to move. It's not worth spending time unless shots are touching. Now, when you're shooting without flags, see, the problem with my range is, even with flags, I get a lot of vertical because it's a trough cut through big trees. I'm out here on the West Coast. The trees out here are 100 feet tall. So, depending on the conditions, I'll pull out a 6 ppc on a given day when I'm checking a 338. And I'll shoot the ppc just to see what the conditions are doing. So flags or no flags, this is a harder range than most of the public ranges I've shot on, where it's kind of open and you can get conditions. Although Tigard down in Portland, Sherwood, Oregon, has also got trees on both sides, and it does a lot of the same thing. And it's got some big concrete walls, which makes some weird swirls. But what I'm trying to do here is just eliminate some time. Now, it's never bad to shoot. You can burn barrels out, shoot, shoot, shoot. But don't even daydream that something like this is fixable. And I backed it off just a little so you can kind of see what it is through the scope instead of getting right up close. That's what you're seeing through the scope. When you can see air in the groups through the scope, it's hosed. Now I switched over, put another stock on, bam, the thing came right together. The platform is sound. Now I'm going to tear that barrel off, and I'm going to start another series with this stock with other pull downs, and this is all stuff that's going to come up. But I'm documenting this as I go for myself as much as anybody. I moved over here, I tried out the Nuvo. These, by the way, all of this was shot in the dark. So again, no flags, in the dark. But these I can recognize instantly are useful and tunable. This gun is a triangle, which I don't like. That could mean that there's something a little raggedy yet. I like to see straight vertical lines or straight horizontal lines. This up here, on the other hand, this Borden BRM, this is just classic weather report. Like, it doesn't get any more weather report than that. So know that. I took a brand new gun, a brand new bar, I fired one, and then she started to run pretty flat. And I changed the load. I think I shot this load. Oh, this is interesting. This is why I fired it back up. This is actually two complete groups. This was shot at 3150 because the barrel, my starting load was going to be 3200. It read 3150. Don't know why. It was a little shorter barrel. No, it's not. It's a 28-inch uncut shilling. So anyway, 3150. I moved over here. I shot another group, and it had almost the same spread. And I'm having trouble with getting readings on my chronograph some of the time. It's a Labrador, and it really hates the dark. And long story short, out of this, I got like one reading here and I got one here and they both read low. So I went ahead and bumped it up a couple of clicks on my measure, which brings it up 50 feet per second, and I shot another group right on top of the first group. And trust me, the second group is tighter. It's inside the first group. Both of these outside shots are from the 3150 foot per second load. The only reason I bring this up is because when you're completely out of a tuning node, as you creep into it, your groups get smaller. And now in the node, once you have something tunable, you can play with all sorts of things. But first of all, it has to be tunable. Here's the first 3, and this is 6, so 9, 12, 15, 18 rounds through this barrel with 2 cleanings in here. I normally clean after the first, there's probably 3 cleanings, maybe 2, maybe only 2 in here. On a blustery day, going into the dark, these last, the last group over there, I couldn't even see my target. I didn't want to go flip the lights on. So it was, I'm floating this big huge dot on a scope that, oh, I took the scope off. I've just been cleaning up tonight. Because one of the things I was going to talk about is how this gun is getting ready to trim down and actually turn into a BR gun. What I did tonight was proof concept on it. This is proof of concept. This is what I've, over 30 years of doing this, I get misled. Like my red, white, and blue gun played with me for a long time because it has to shoot and it doesn't. It has to and it doesn't. Everything is right and it doesn't. I've come to figure out that on my big unlimited gun, I don't know how to build a heavy gun. And I'm flexing, I'm screwing, I'm pounding too much energy into a springy system and it's not reacting right. I can build I take the same thing. In fact, I took my big red, white, and blue gun, yanked out the barreled action and put it in my mule. You're starting to learn my mule, the Extreme Prejudice stock. It's been painted 3 times. The last time I coated it and put lettering, doesn't matter. It's been bedded and rebedded and so many times. I threw it in there and it shot gangbusters. It shot just fine. In this, it wasn't legal for anything. It was just a weird in-between size. And that kind of brings me to testing concept. What I did here, I've got an action that I had never seen before. Jim was kind enough to go ahead and pin these so that I can do my pull off the front base and put a big wrench on here thing. So this is an action that I can use. This is called a BRM. It's a drop port. First time, everything new here, everything new. But it's got, I shouldn't tell anybody this even, it's using 3 screws. First thing I did was drill another screw because it's got this enormously long threaded tenon section. This tenon is so freaking long I could have cut it back anyway. I figured, oh, I got all this room, the action screw's back here, I'm going to go ahead and drill in another one. So this one's got 3 screws holding it down. But the point I'm trying to make is this gun really can't not shoot. It's going to shoot. And this, by the way, is the smoothest. This is a great feeling action. Melanited, of course. This barrel is way too long. It's right out of the box. It's a number 7 shilling. I'm going to probably cut it back to somewhere in here to make weight. But what I do when I say proof of concept, here's something brand new to me. New action I've never messed with. This series of stocks, I'm on my 4th one now, and I kind of like them. They're a Bruno McMillan collaboration. This is turning out to be a decent stock. I've been missing stocks for a long time, trying to find a bench rest stock that I like, that has what I want. This one has some of the stuff that I want. So, once I've proved concept and made this thing shoot in a weird, I basically just cut my inch off this, faced it off, blasted a chamber in it, bedded it in, tried my bedding, the 3 screws, changed all that. I left it tight around here, which is one of the things that traditionally has been a sin. But I'm another way. I put no relief on, this one doesn't have a recoil lug. If you remember the build earlier, this is not a recoil lug that you see here. This is a shouldering lug. The recoil lug I milled into the bottom of the action. So there's things on this. I butted this, I bedded it in, it's tight everywhere, no relief, I never put reliefs on my recoil lugs either, but bedded tight, 3 hole down screws, took it out, right here, proof of concept. Those groups right there, on a blustery evening going into the dark. Remember, you can throw this one away. I just went ahead and shot the 3 because I've only got 3 cases. That is the first shot through the bore. These two, if you get rid of that, these 2 right here look like everything here. Everything here is consistently doing what it should do. No goofy, no flyers all up. Like this group over here, I ended up shooting 6 into it because one of the reasons I was remembering after I was wrapping things up here, that fly, I shot like here, 2 shots went in the same hole, and then I dropped one clear down here. And when I say dropped one, that's a phrase I don't use. I didn't drop jack. I was shooting just fine. The gun dropped it. And when I say the gun, it wasn't a gremlin. It wasn't the mountain blowing. It's the gun is broken. When you get 2 shots that far apart, and then I worked my way across, I don't remember even what I played with because it's trash. But remember, this is the thing with 1 hole down screw. It shouldn't work. Even though it's bedded nicely over as wide a section, I extended the bedding up, I tried. Now I'm gonna take that stock and start doing other things on it. But I wanted to, for my own notes, and just to recap what I'm looking for. Here's the kind of groups. I did a series a long time ago called How I Set My Targets. I've made some more notes on here. I've taken off my aiming points. I've got aiming points that are reusable. Okay, they're in another video. Sometimes I put a whole pile of them across. But the biggest thing is I want to be able to sit back here and concentrate on what I'm doing, shooting, tuning, doing what it is that I've got to do, and not have to be running down for targets back and forth. Then in this case, I just made some notes on here. I'm videotaping the notes, and then I can throw these in the garbage. But the key is, to save you some time, everything to the left over here is all useful. Ready. Thing 2 is ready. If I want to do something with it, it's ready to go. And what that means is this is a big 600-yard stock. I'll put a tight twist barrel on it. Probably as long as, this right here is a 6 PPC barrel at a bastard length. It's no good for anything. Not work, so I'll cut this down, I'll get back on thing 1 here, and try to make a bench rest gun out of it. That big old thing 2 stock, the Extreme Prejudice stock, EP, it's fine. It's an old school fiberglass, deader than a sack of nails. It's got lead inside the butt. I mean, it works. It's a cheater stock. The Nuvo is just ready. Dink dink, ran it up to 3200. By 3250, that one is cut to length, it is balanced, it is ready. It should have a node at about 3250, and when I say nodes, again, I need to back up. I gotta be careful. That's not a term you just fling around. Nodes are not even a thing until the gun is shooting groups that are like this. Like this, you don't even talk about nodes. There's no nodes. If a gun's shooting this big, nodes are out of the question. Here, this right here, we got vertical in both of these. That to me says, okay, I probably should start bumping up and trying to suck some of that vertical. But this is hovering a node. And this was at a weird, also, like 3150 or something. One of my starting points with the 6 PPC, the real one now, not the PPC USA or some homemade Gigi guys, but an actual PPC. I find that there's a good starting point around 3250. Just me, not saying anybody else, but I'm trying to pass on information that I've learned. So I'm not in it on any of these, but they're still shooting fine. I haven't even got up to 3250. What I'm trying to let you know is everything over here is useful, tunable, ready to tune, ready to go to work on. Now, when a gun can't shoot big, let me put it that way. This is shooting big, this is broken. From here on over, the guns can't shoot big. They're shooting as raggedy as they can shoot. all you can do is go smaller. I doubt there's anything I could do to these to make them shoot bigger groups than this. And it's in the wind, and it's with no wind flags. I don't always put out my wind flags because it's a pain. It's a 20-minute process to put out, because I put out a probe and 4 flags out to 100 yards. And it's a labor of love. It's a bit of a thing. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to put together 2 guns to take out on the 100-yard circuit around here this winter if there's going to be some shooting. I don't know. People are still putting bags over their heads everywhere I go. So it looks like shooting is coming back out though. I want to have a couple guns set up. And to take one of these, a proven concept gun here. This one is probably one I'm going to campaign. First thing is, got to get the barrel cut back to where it's useful and makes weight. Unfortunately, at the time when I've been ordering blank, the one place in the supply chain that's really hammered us other than, or me anyway, I haven't been able to buy a light varmint blank for, I don't know, 2 years. This is a heavy varmint blank, which means I have to make it shorter or I have to dink around with it on the lathe. So, whack down, whack a bunch off this end and bring it down. My problem there is my bandsaw is broken, so I can't make butt plates. So, long story short, I'm just shooting it like this because, again, I don't have to do anything yet because I'm just testing for proof of concept. This gun looks like a hunting rifle because it's 6 inches long on one end and 2 inches long on the other end. But it's ready to go. That's what matters, is that that's what this little series has been about, these couple of days. And while I had these groups up, I want you to look at these and say, okay, this is how you test for proof of concept. There's 4 guns here that are ready to work with. There's 1 gun here that is, the test is over. This is done. Moving on to the next phase, and then whether we're going to do, at one point, I used to shoot long lines of groups like this and map them out, and I've got a few that I've posted up on Venture Central when I'm tuning like a 6x47 or something, because to get a VLD gun to shoot groups. But really what I need to do, and this is not going to make sense to anybody, but I shoot just enough groups to find out if I can get it to go like this. If I can get it to go from here to here to here. Now, the other thing is, I am playing with tuners. I got started with tuners back, I remember when the Boss came out, I was so excited because somebody had finally paid attention and came out with a tuner that works. Now, unfortunately, the Boss, well, unfortunately nothing. The Boss works. Really hard to use because when you leave your house and go to where you're hunting, it's out of tune again. But that's neither here nor there. If you can tune it in place, the Boss system works. So I want to tune for reasons of my own. So I got a whole bunch of tuner crap going on too. You'll notice that half of my barrels are threaded. Again, I have to have a baseline. This goes back to my whole concept. Everything that I talk about, I have to have something to contrast it against. My baseline for tuners is Mikey Zell's tuner. I've only got one. I haven't even used it all that much, but from all the research that I've done, the next thing I'm going to is I just ordered a whole bunch of split collars, and I'm going to play with tuning using split collars, which is going to be, that's another thing. It's kind of what I'm leading up to, is that I'm going to do something with movable split collars. I've got an idea. My 3D muzzle brake works, my 3D tuner works perfectly. I might be showing some of that, but it's a big ugly thing. It just looks funky and it adds weight. So anyway, just to recap, wanted to go through these groups, let you know what I was doing here. Thanks.